Hi, I'm Guy Eastman with Eastman's Bow Hunting Journal. Today we're going to talk about FOC, or front of center, for an arrow. A lot of guys know, or a lot of you that know or shoot arrows a lot know that you want to have a good front of center on your arrow for good, stable, accurate flight downrange. Now if you're shooting close, 20 to 30 yards, it's not as critical, but if you're going to stretch out there to 50 or 60 yards, having a good front of center on your arrow is critical to having good, stable, accurate flight. A lot of you might ask, what is front of center, or FOC? FOC is an aerodynamic principle that applies to anything traveling through air, whether it be a dart, an arrow, or a missile. Even an airplane. This is a P-51 Mustang. Of course, it's not the actual size, but it is a scale flying model, and I measured the FOC on this model and it's right about 20%. Most of you are probably asking yourself, why do you want a front of center or a nose heavy object or arrow? What does that do for you? How does that stabilize your arrow more than a less nose heavy arrow? What it does basically is when an arrow is flying through the air, it has a geographic center and a center of gravity. Its CG, or center of gravity, is where the arrow balances. So you can see this arrow balances right here. And then there's a geographic center, which is right here. You see how the center of gravity, or where this arrow is balancing, is in front of its actual center line. This is, if you take the whole length of this arrow, divide it by 2, this is the geographic center right here. What this does is when an object is traveling through the air, it has a stabilization surface to it, and that is, on an arrow, is your vanes. These vanes are built and designed to stabilize the arrow as it goes through the air. What a nose-heavy arrow will do is give these vanes more of a lever arm to stabilize by. Leverage on this arrow is longer because its center of gravity, its CG, is in front of its geographic center. So these vanes will stabilize faster, because when this arrow comes out of the bow, it's bending, 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 and these vanes are working to stabilize that arrow into nice, true, solid flight. If you move the CG too far forward, however, this will become too front heavy and the arrow will come out of the bow, it will lose a lot of energy and fall flat on its face or on its nose quicker. It will not tend to glide through the air. It will go out, lose its energy very quick, and drop straight nose into the ground prematurely. So we want to make sure that that center of gravity is only between 9 and 18% in front of the center of the arrow. That's the sweet spot for a hunting arrow, between 9 and 18%. I try to shoot for 11 to 12% on my arrows as a good front and center for a hunting arrow. And this will give me the longest, straightest, most stable flight path and pattern for this arrow. And it'll also give me a lot of good penetration. The more front of center you have on the arrow, the better your penetration is going to be upon impact, because that energy is moving down less of a shaft when it hits, and it's not back here, so if it doesn't hit straight, it tends to go like this. It will tend to send all the energy straight down the center of the shaft of the arrow and give you a little bit better penetration as well. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, the science behind front of center. Now, let's get into how you calculate it. It can be very complicated to calculate, but I have a very, very simple, easy way anybody can calculate their front of center. So let's go ahead and get the rulers out, and I'll show you exactly how to calculate the front of center on an arrow.
Still looking to take that once-in-a-lifetime Western trophy? Eastman's Hunting and Bow Hunting Journals are the #1 magazines for Western big game trophy hunters. Eastman's is the only big game hunting magazine engineered specifically for you, featuring entertaining Western hunting adventures, detailed equipment lists with head-to-head gear reviews, and species-specific tips and tactics. In the back of each subscriber issue, you'll find the exclusive Members Research section. We give you detailed statistical info, expert analysis, and advice on the hottest big game units. Act now. Subscribe to Eastman's Hunting or Bow Hunting Journals, and we'll throw in our latest trophy hunting DVD absolutely free. Shipping and handling charges apply. Eastman's, getting you on track to your trophy. Get all this for less than the price of 6 rounds of ammo. Eastmans, your stories, your photos, your magazines. Call to subscribe or get it digitally now.